Amess, whose killing has been declared a terrorist incident. And one thing you might not have known about him was he was also involved in music charities as well, and charities which help people with disabilities.
Yes, one particular performance at the Royal Albert Hall that he introduced very proudly as the Master of Ceremonies, but it was a subject close to his heart. Let's just have a look now at David Amess on the stage at the Royal Albert Hall not long ago with this dear project.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the Music Man project has taken the Palladium by storm. It's conquered the Royal Albert Hall, and as it goes on to conquer the rest of the world, there's only one place they're going, and that is Broadway. So, ladies and gentlemen, stand up and 3 cheers for the Music Man project. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray!
How much does that tell you about the sort of man he was? David Stanley is the founder of the Music Man project and joins us this morning. Good morning. Very difficult time for you and everybody who knew him. How will you remember him, though?
Oh gosh, I mean, it's such a shock this morning, but I think I will remember his passion, his enthusiasm for my charity and for the achievements of people with learning disabilities. And as you saw there at the Albert Hall, he was such an advocate of music education and performance, and our dream, which we fulfilled over 20-year time frame, was to get to the Albert Hall, and that was just the beginning, and we hoped together to help our students perform on Broadway. But he did everything with such a strength of character and with such enthusiasm.
And we just saw that clip which told us so much. That smile, that energy, that boundless enthusiasm, and just reaching out to the people in the audience, loving it.
Oh, he loved an audience, and any chance he had to get up in front of people, particularly his people from Southend, who he just adored, and he felt so proud of what we'd achieved. But he used to come up to me all the time and say, "David, how can I help you? What can I do for your charity now? You know, is there anything else you need from me?" And you know, there was a few decades ago, people with learning disabilities really did struggle. They were isolated, many of them in sort of hospitals and treated as sick patients. For that journey to come right the way to the Albert Hall, he was so proud of that, and that was really down to his passion.
I'm pretty determined. We spoke earlier to Virginia Lewis-Jones, the daughter of Vera Lynn, and she worked with him to try and raise funds for a statue for Dame Vera Lynn. And she said he was like a terrier. Once he got hold of a project at a grassroots level within the community, he would not let go until he'd achieved it.
Absolutely, and that is exactly what he was like with my charity, with me. He loved grand ideas. He loved sort of coming up with these amazing statements that we were going to conquer Broadway, we were going to break a world record, which we did achieve together at the London Palladium a few years ago. And he was full of that energy. And a lot of people have said, haven't they, about him being a campaigner and a grassroots politician. And that is absolutely right. He loved a big idea and anything that pushed forward Southend and the Southend family.
I bet when you're talking about his vitality this morning and that energy, you just have to sort of stand back and check yourself in a way, because you can't believe that you're standing there at a crime scene and that he's gone.
Oh, I know. The events of yesterday were just so devastating. But, you know, I woke up this morning and I just thought, is it all a nightmare? I could not believe it had happened. And here we are talking about Sir David, who has sadly passed. It is the most tragic, the most devastating news, and my heart just goes out to his wonderful family, to his staff. It really is just the most awful news.
And I'd imagine for you, David, some very difficult conversations today with the children, the young adults with learning disabilities. the volunteers who you've worked with, for whom David was so dear.
Yes. Well, yes. As the news broke yesterday afternoon, I was teaching my students who all adore David. They adore him, his character, and his sense of fun. We actually sung a few songs in his memory, one called Peace and Hope, which was very appropriate. And then this morning, in a few moments, I'm continuing and teaching some of our children who won't really understand what's happened, but we will try to come to terms with it together through music, because I know that's how David would have wanted us to.
Absolutely, I'm sure you're right. And when the time is right and people have had time to get used to what has happened, I can imagine maybe another concert in his memory.
Oh, certainly. I mean, obviously very early to be thinking, but I know that's what he would have wanted. We will surely find a way of marking his life, his memory, and all that he did for people with learning disabilities in this town.
And David, this will challenge some people's preconceptions of what MPs do. Often people say about members of Parliament, they're in it for themselves, it's all about ego, but here is an example of a politician thoroughly dedicated to what's going on in his community.
Yes, and that is something that's very, very important that I get across. He had a huge personality, but he put the full force of that personality behind his work for people that were vulnerable, that had illness, that were in some sort of help that was required of him. And he put his full force of his energy, his enthusiasm behind them. And that is not what many people think politicians are like, particularly career politicians. But he honestly, I cannot stress this enough, he wanted to help people, and he did help people, and he did so much behind the scenes. Nobody will really ever know just what he was about and what he could do and what he did do, in the background. He didn't really want all that limelight. He wanted the limelight to go to the people of Southend.
It's so important to hear so many of those tributes this morning. David Stanley from the Music Man Project, who worked closely with David Amess. Many thanks for your time this morning.
It's 27 minutes past.